the people that make the agribusiness and countryside development coverage possible, to all of our special partners, the senior special partners, corporate members, individual members. We are truly grateful for your generosity. It's only through same generosity and support that the agribusiness and countryside development will continue to do. But for everyone who's joining us here this morning, good morning once again. We really hope to see you guys today. I'm the president of Barcelona. The Agri-Business and Countryside Development Foundation is a partnership with the Management Philippines. If you're joining us, please open to our social media uploads from wherever in the world you are, whatever time you might be tuning in. We welcome you and we will. If today's session brings you any value, if you are a person who is engaged in the practice of food rescue, you're working with nonprofits that are working towards zero hunger, or you're working with underprivileged or underserved communities that are suffering from food insecurity, let us know your experience. Maybe today's session, resonates with. Maybe you're somebody who wants to do more to address the problem of hunger and food insecurity. Wherever you are, leave us a comment down below. We really love to hear from you, share your experience, ask your questions, and Okay, so with that, I'd like to ask our friend, Ernie Ordonez, to please ask the question.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm especially excited about this because when I saw his topic about addressing hunger, which is really bad, and more importantly about his background, which is multifaceted, I actually Googled his background. I was so fascinated. But as we know, first he gives you his phone number so we can have a relationship after this, because as our former chair, departed chair said, we're here not just for information, but for action. Secondly, we have 5 or 10 minutes of his personal background, how he got into this. And thirdly, most importantly, how we can pursue his mission, because we're here for action. Having said that, I'd like to say that his topic is fascinating. It's handling the problem of hunger. And if you read the note, it is also talk about agribusiness and its role in this hunger problem. Regarding his background, his education, education is fascinating. He studied in La Salle, who just beat Ateneo incidentally, and then studied University of California, Berkeley. And then he went to a university where I taught while I was doing my doctorate and doing my teaching at New York University. I did a course in a place called New York Institute of Technology, which is in a very beautiful place in the northeast section, half an hour from New York City. And that's called New York Institute of Technology, where he got the summa cum laude. So in terms of athletics and academia, you can't beat him, because he was also, swimming, scuba diving and all that. Most importantly, other than marathons in different parts of the world, he did an Ironman. That's fantastic. That's a marathon plus cycling plus swimming. He did it in 3 different parts of the world. So there's a study by Harvard that said that athletes, because of their discipline, make excellent good managers. And that's where he is. What is interesting about him is that he took a different path. Instead of just doing the professional idea, and he's an expert in information technology. As a matter of fact, in addition to being president of the Philippine Food Bank Foundation, he's the founder and president of a data catalyst partners, which he heads as well. What's interesting is that he's gone from just, doing well to really helping people. And consequently, his topic is very interesting. So I'd like to turn the floor over now to Rafael Itong Torres. And he told me that he would consent to give his phone number. More importantly, his 5 to 10 minute background, how he got into this, because the personal connection actually often inspires us and actually encourages us to call him. So we're not shy because of his commitment to helping people. He allows us to call him from around the world because it's free now, right? Okay. So Itong, the floor is yours. Perhaps you can start your phone number and then your background and then your talk. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ordonez. And good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you to the Agri-Business and Countryside Development Foundation and the Management Association of the Philippines for inviting me to speak on behalf of the Philippine Food Bank Foundation in this morning's program. I'll give my phone number first. So it's 917-529-4369. I can also share my email address, which is itong.torres, that's spelled ITONG .TORRES @gmail.com. I'll also flash it later when I'm done with my presentation, just in case you're not able to get that. So I guess how shall I start? I was fortunate enough actually to meet Mr. Julius Barcelona of the Harvest Agri-Business Corporation and the president currently of the Agri-Business and Countryside Development Foundation. At the recent event of the Zero Hunger Summit in Iloilo, we were there last week, who invited me to speak to this event. So thank you, Julius. I'm honored and grateful for this opportunity to share our journey and present our foundation, and of course discuss the importance of food rescue in addressing malnutrition and food insecurity in the Philippines. I'm humbled by your introduction, Mr. Ordonez. So thank you for that, for those kind words. Let me share. I'll share my screen.
Itong, if you don't mind, just one question.
Yeah.
You were one of the top people of the Villar group and of course the Gokongwei group, and then you went off and did this. What motivated you to get off the traditional path of just career and go into helping the hungry? What motivated you to get into this? And then you even founded, so many things that are helping the poor. Can you tell us what motivated you?
Well, to be honest, so given my background as an IT professional, I actually wanted to seek further studies. So I've been wanting to do my master's degree, but I met Dr. Bernie Villegas, who's head of UANP, and he was kind enough and generous enough to allow me to take the advanced management program at UANP. It's a 4-session, 1-week long engagement. Most of the time it was held here in the Philippines, but there was this 1 week actually that it was held in IESE, Barcelona. So we went there, and that was actually where Dr. Bernie Villegas shared his vision of wanting to set up a food bank foundation. So, as my way of being grateful and saying thank you, I volunteered. So that's how I got involved with the Food Bank Foundation. So back in 20...
Yeah, thanks a lot. Please proceed, but we're so grateful you did that because you're certainly a gift to all of us for trying to help the poor. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, it was I guess the way I operate is it's very organic. So I met him, I got close to Dr. Bernie. He's very instrumental in terms of guiding me as a person and also as a professional. So I'm just giving back with all of the blessings that I've been receiving. So that's how I started.
Yeah. Thank you. Please proceed. Thank you.
Okay. May I'll play I have this presentation, so it's guided. So I'll start with this one first. Okay, just in case people are not able to. So I'll give you a few minutes. So these are the contact details of the Food Bank Foundation. So our office is in Magallanes, and this is our email address. Please take note of the website. We have a website. It talks about the foundation, what it's all about, um, who is behind the foundation, as well as how you can be involved and participate. Okay.
Yeah, this is made available to 1,400 people every month. But for you listening, 0917 529 4369. So you can call him. Okay, please proceed.
Okay. One moment. Let me... start from the top.
Is your presentation or system or
Here, okay. Let me... Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Can everyone see
Yeah.
my screen?
Yeah,
Is it
you're good.
okay? Good. Thank you. Thank you. So again, okay. Thanks again for letting me present our foundation. So we'll start with it really started the inspiration was June 5, 2013, during the United Nations World Environment Day, where the United Nations launched a global appeal for the need to eliminate waste and the destruction of food. Now, at the same day, okay, on that day, Dr. Shin Young Soo of the World Health Organization, he's the regional director for the Western Pacific, he said, "We cannot achieve good health without a safe and sustainable environment." The theme for the World Environment Day is 2013 is think, eat, save. Think, Eat, Save calls on us to reduce food waste and loss, to reduce our footprint. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization states that 1.3 billion tons of food is wasted every year. The impact of that waste is not just financial. It also has adverse health and environmental impacts. Food waste leads to the wasteful use of chemicals such as fertilizers and pesticides, and more fuel used for transportation. Food waste also leads to more garbage in landfills. All these impacts result in increased methane levels. Methane is one of the most harmful green gases contributing to global warming. So in general, the World Environment Day reminds people not to buy what they cannot consume and to buy locally produced food whenever possible to reduce emissions. People are also reminded to reduce food waste by composting. Okay. Now, on the same day, actually, Pope Francis delivered the message as well during his general audience in St. Peter's Square. on the need to go back and reflect upon the original blueprint of God for man to cultivate and care for God's creation. So realizing that the society has been moving away from God's plan, the Holy Pontiff said this: "Today, I would like to reflect on the issue of the environment. I was also prompted to think about this because of today's World Environment Day, sponsored by the United Nations, which is launching us a pressing appeal for the need to eliminate waste and the destruction of food. We are living in a time of crisis. We see it in the environment, but above all, we see it in men and women. The culture of waste has also made us insensitive to wasting and throwing out excess food stuff, which is especially condemnable when, in every part of the world, unfortunately, many people and families suffer hunger and malnutrition. Let us remember well that whenever food is thrown out, it is as if it were stolen from the table of the poor, from the hungry. I ask everyone to reflect on the problem of the loss and waste of food, to identify ways and approaches which, by seriously dealing with this problem, convey solidarity and sharing with the underprivileged." So that was really the inspiration that prompted Dr. Bernie Villegas to set up a food foundation in the Philippines. So back in 2016, there were some food banks that were already existing, but you can't have. There's no harm in having another one to help out. So we did some research, okay. So for example, we took a look at the UN Food Waste Index report in 2040. Okay. It clearly shows, that the food waste is a market failure that results in throwing away more than 1 trillion worth of food every year. It's also an environmental failure. So food waste generates an estimated 8 to 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions, including both food loss and food waste. And it takes up the equivalent of nearly 30% of the world's agricultural land. Food waste is also failing people. So up to 783 million people are affected by hunger each year. And 150 million children under the age of 5 suffer stunted growth and development due to a chronic lack of essential nutrients in their diets. Now, the reduction of food waste will help meet various sustainable development goals to be reached by the year 2030, reducing business costs, creating an environmental benefits, and increasing consumer savings. The Sustainable Development Goal 12, or specifically Target 12.3, captures a commitment to half per capita global food waste at the retail and consumer levels, and to reduce food loss across supply chains by 2030. Reducing food waste will also affect 8 other different goals. So that's 1, no poverty. Number 2, zero hunger. 3, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Number 10, reducing inequality. 11, sustainable cities and communities. 13, climate action. 14, life below water, and 15, life on land. Now, how much food is wasted? So in 2022, a global food waste was estimated at 1.05 billion tons of food in the retail, food service, and household sectors combined. This amounts to 132 kilograms per capita per year, of which 79 kilograms per capita was wasted in households. This amounts to 19% of food available to consumers being wasted at the retail, food service, and household levels. This, in addition to the estimated 13% of the world's food that is lost in the supply chain from post-harvest up to the excluding retail. So now here in the Philippines, okay, food waste is a major global challenge, but the Philippines is really no exception. Each year, a significant portion of food produced never reaches consumers. The wasted food ends up in landfills where it decomposes and releases methane, a greenhouse gas 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide at trapping heat in the atmosphere. Food waste is a significant contributor to climate change, and addressing it is crucial for our planet's health. Data displays estimated household food waste for households. So if you can see at the bottom, the food waste per capita is 25.50 kilograms for the Philippines. Annual food waste is 3 million tons. But at least the good news about it is that we significantly decreased from 2021. So that's at least good news. So we're heading towards the right direction. Now, we also reached out to the global index, hunger index. Okay. Let's see. So according to the Global Hunger Index, the Philippines is ranked 66 out of 125 countries with a 14.8 level of hunger score in 2023. So that's actually considered a moderate rating. And it has improved from a serious rating in 2000 of 25. So 25 was already considered serious. Okay. According to the World Wildlife Fund, 86.2% of the biodegradable waste of the Philippines is food waste due to inadequate transportation and storage facilities. So there's an opportunity there for improvement. However, this is the most glaring data that I've seen. The percentage level of child stunting is at 29.6% of children under 5 years old. This means that 1 out of 3 Filipino children below 5 years old suffer from malnutrition, which stunts brain development. So definitely, this will definitely affect the country's future workforce. So this is something that needs to be addressed. Another data that we gathered is from the Social Weather Station, and it indicates that around 2.9 million Filipinos experience involuntary hunger. The National Weather Survey of June 23 to July 1, 2024, found that 17.6% of Filipino families experienced involuntary hunger, being hungry and not having anything to eat at least once in the past 3 months. The June 2024 hunger figure was 3.4 points above the 14.2% in March 2024 and the highest since the record high of 30.7% during COVID-19 lockdowns in September 2020. The resulting 2024 two-quarter hunger average of 15.9% was 5.2 points above the 2023 annual hunger average of 10.7%, and the highest since the 2020 annual hunger average of 21.1%. Now this brings me to the Food Bank Foundation. So in summary, actually, in introduction, actually, the Philippine Food Bank Foundation, or we call Food Bank PH, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to alleviating hunger and reducing food waste in the Philippines. So in 2017, the Philippine Food Bank Foundation was established and founded by Dr. Bernie Villegas as chairman, Dr. Lito Sandejas as president, Jimmy Ladao, Danny Navarro, and myself. So actually to show you to present and explain how the foundation started and what it's all about, allow me to play this video, which is the very first video that we prepared to easily explain and share what we were all about. Please let me know if you can hear it, okay?
Was to socially responsible food companies to allow the distribution of their soon-to-expire and still very edible products to the malnourished and undernourished Filipinos belonging to the 21% of Filipino families that fall below the poverty line. By utilizing parishes, congregations, charity,
Sorry.
was to encourage socially responsible food companies to allow the distribution of their soon-to-expire and still very edible products to the malnourished and undernourished Filipinos belonging to the 21% of Filipino families that fall below the poverty line. By utilizing parishes, congregations, charitable institutions, and similar religious organizations to distribute these products, the food bank could reach beneficiaries who live in various depressed areas in urban districts, or households in rural areas, orphanages, children in public schools, and feeding centers all over. With the final approval of the Certificate of Registration by the SEC on the 5th of April 2017, our efforts began in earnest. In time, companies began to join in and cooperate with our vision of aiding Pope Francis's counterculture. As of 2019, we are now 16 companies strong. These companies are Alaska, Krispy Kreme, Starbucks, Meadowfish, Del Monte, Colgate Palmolive, Allegro Beverages, Mamacitas, Universal Robina Corporation, Unilever, Procter & Gamble, RFM Corporation, Recreation, Dunkin' Donuts, Mary Lewis, and Patrick Sportswear. They have been generously sharing their goods with us, and we have been able to reach people far and wide. Thanks to them, we were able to reach over 188 groups, including the Nehan Technical School, Boys Town, Sisters of the Infant Jesus, Divine Mercy Parish, Sisters of the Little Mission for the Deaf, Walter, Daughters of the Virgin Mary Outreach, Girls Town, St. Martin de Porres Parish, Mary, Mother of Good Counsel Parish, Oblates of St. Francis Xavier, the Legationists, San Roque Parish, and many more. We would like to believe over 4 million Filipinos have benefited from these companies' efforts and our own. We are proud to say that from 2017 to 2019, we have received a total of 74 million pesos worth of donated goods and cash donation. But we're not stopping there. We need your help. In order to further develop Food Bank's goals, we would like to request donations of soon-to-expire goods or donations in cash. We will use this money to acquire vehicles to cover pickups and deliveries, as well as to help cover administrative efforts. Any amount will help us continue to deliver what we can in order to help our fellow Filipinos in their day-to-day lives. For 2019, we can say that it has been a fruitful year for Food Bank. With the increased number of donors and the promise of the future, we are truly excited to see what 2020 brings in store for us all. We hope to have you on board with us. It is as St. Jose Maria said, live without counting the cost and always for God. In this way, you will live even humanly speaking closer to the rest of humanity, and you will make your contribution. and we intend to do that for 2020 and beyond.
So, so this is the current board of directors. So we still have Dr. Bernie Villegas as our chairman. And then we have Mr. Danny Navarro as our corporate secretary and also our chief operating officer. So him together with his wife, they actually run and operate the food bank foundation. I'll explain it a little bit later. Then we have now been enjoined by a few other new directors, board of directors. So Mr. Chito Perez, who is now the corporate treasurer. Dr. Lito Sandejas voluntold me to be the president starting this year, and I humbly and happily accepted. So we have Mr. Quintin Pastrana as another director, and Mr. Mike Torres as another director. So the main goals really of the food bank is to provide hunger relief, reduce food waste, promote learning abilities, and empower communities. At the heart of our mission is really that the belief that no one should go hungry. Through our food rescue and distribution programs, we strive to provide nourishment and hope to those in need while simultaneously addressing the pressing issue of food. So here are some of our initiatives. So food rescue, community distribution, education, and advocacy. The food bank, PH, bridges the gap between food surplus and food insecurity. We partner with food producers and retailers to rescue surplus or near expiry food items that would otherwise go to waste. This rescued food is then distributed to communities in need, such as orphanages, schools, and parishes. Through our work, we strive to ensure that no one goes hungry while also reducing food waste. Our process is quite simple, actually. So we have a warehouse in Las Piñas with 2 trucks that does daily morning routes, collecting food and sometimes non-food items from food producers and retailers, which have donations for that day from Mondays to Saturdays. We then rotate through the list of beneficiaries and schedule for them to pick up the donated goods from the warehouse in the afternoons on the same day, given the perishable nature of the food items. So we're SEC registered. We are DSWD certified, and we're also currently in the process of acquiring our PCNC, our Philippine Council of Nonprofit Certification certification. So we've already submitted all of our requirements. We're just refining a few more matters before we're able to be granted the certification. So once we have that, it would be we should be able to issue deeds of donations already, and we're hoping that it would increase involvement with organizations. Hopefully they would want to be more than willing to work with us, given that we have something to offer as well. So I just wanted to share some of the donors that we have so far. Actually, our very first donor was Alaska Milk. Luckily, back then in 2016, Dr. Bernie Villegas was one of the directors of the organization. As I mentioned, organically, that's how we usually operate. Given that we don't have our PCNC certification yet, we actually looked at our network and people who we knew who are in the food industry that would be willing to work with us even if we didn't have any certifications yet, while we were acquiring our SEC papers, DSWD to validate and ensure that we are a bona fide foundation and that we're no fly-by-night. So since Bernie Villegas was part of the board, it was easy for him to talk to Fred Uitengsu, who was head of that organization during that time, to donate. Incidentally, he actually also happens to be the founding team member of our Tri team, Polo Tri. So what I ended up also doing, following the lead of Dr. Bernie Villegas, was we also reached out to the network that we had, and it was easy enough within our network to find other people who are also in the food industry. And then of course I also reached out to my former organizations of where I used to work for. So I worked for JG Summit, URC, so I reached out to URC. I worked for the Villar Group, so I reached out to All Day Supermarket. I also train with a few people. So we have Century Pacific Tuna here through Crispo. We have Dunkin' Donuts, Jollibee, Krispy Kreme. So I also grew up with Jim Fontebella when I was studying in San Francisco. So he's part of the Max's group of companies. So it was easy enough to convince him to participate. Who else did I reach out to? Pick Up Coffee. So I also trained with one of the founders of Pick Up Coffee, Jaime Fernandez. So he was kind enough to also donate some of the food items that they're not able to sell. And most importantly, actually, Starbucks. So Starbucks is actually one of our largest donors. And I'll share with you a little bit more about Starbucks later, because their program called the Food Share Program, in collaboration with Grab, was very important in the growth of the organization. So let me play this.
Starbucks, besides its delicious coffee, has mouth-watering pastries and food as well. The four-cheese pizza, donuts, croissants, and the like, every store has a perfect treat to go with your drink. A perfect pair. But what happens to the food that aren't sold to customers? Since 2018, Food Bank and Starbucks have been working together to help give the soon-to-expire bread and pastries to the underprivileged and hungry. You have done so much for us. For the past 4 years, we have seen the joy of our beneficiaries whenever they receive Starbucks food from us. Children, elderly, and the sick were delighted and can scarcely believe their eyes. Starbucks give it to them freely, a treat beyond their belief. The pastries and bread excited so many and fed so much more. And now, with the Food Share program that you have initiated in partnership with Grab, we could reach more and more beneficiaries with your supply of bread and pastries. Our reach is even greater than before. Not only did you give your bread and pastries, but also through your venti van activation that allowed the public to pitch in and give their own personalized noted donations to our beneficiaries. We would like to thank you deeply, Starbucks, for all that you have done for us. You have helped us feed over 200 groups since 2018, from Quezon City to Batangas, hospital to hospital. With your help, lives were lifted and days were made brighter with your acts of kindness. Not only did you help us give food and pastries to the underprivileged, you also helped us touch their days with a venti serving of generosity. Thank you so much for your kindness. It means the world to us and our beneficiaries. Thank you.
Yeah, so for Starbucks, that was also interesting because I I was neighbors with the head of Starbucks, Noe Lopez, and I just asked him if he would be kind enough and willing to donate. And true enough, they actually had a lot of surplus food that they really just threw away, and they were looking for places to donate to. So this helped formalize that whole challenge that they were encountering. And because of this effort, so as I mentioned, we only have 2 trucks, and we on a daily basis we have this route, and depending on which organizations and branches would have food to donate, then that's the harvest that we have in the morning. So we bring it to the warehouse, and then we just go through the list of beneficiaries. And then they come to the warehouse and pick up whatever we are able to harvest. Now, prior to this collaboration of Starbucks and Grab, um, we would only be able to cover, let's say, 20 branches, because we have to go to like Century, we have to go to Max and the other branches. Um, so for the 20 branches, like our harvest would only be, let's say, 200 pieces of bread. Very, very, very modest. But because of this collaboration, um, Grab now picks up all of the donated goods from maybe 250 to 300 branches, brings it to the warehouse, and our daily yield has been like between 2,500 to 3,000 plus on a daily basis. Okay. That was very successful. So we ran that for about a year in 2022. And because of that success, we now were bold enough to expand operations in other areas of the Philippines. So we started operations in Cebu, and then we started in Davao, and then in Cagayan de Oro, Bacolod, Pampanga, and just last week we started in Iloilo, and then we're now looking to partner with other I guess other people who are willing to volunteer. We usually just need a place where we could receive the goods, have someone who we can trust to receive it, make sure that it's in good condition, that it's still edible. It needs to be weighed because we need to document all of these things, and also the quantities. And then we take care of organizing and scheduling the beneficiaries to come and pick up the food items. So we're hoping to expand to other locations. A good friend, also a teammate, who's also here on the call, offered to expand in Tagaytay, where there are a lot of restaurants and food retailers in the area. So we are more than happy and excited to expand over there. I actually already shared that information with Starbucks, who we collaborate with as we grow and expand to other locations. Incidentally, I also reached out to Grab and asked them if they would be willing and able to also offer the same service to other food establishments in terms of picking up the food and bringing it to the warehouse, because that really helps a lot in terms of logistics. As you know, we're a nonprofit organization, so we're always begging for donations and resources so that we can continue to operate. So that's the reason why we have to do this. There's another story that I wanted to share before I close off this one. So Subway Subway from the US, from Connecticut. This was a very interesting story, ano, and this just happened maybe a few months ago. Someone from Subway got in touch with our secretary in the office and said, we'd like to donate $25,000 to your foundation. So how do we do this? Because, you know, the only way that we could reach you was through your website. There's like an address there and there's a phone number. So that's what they did. So when we met with Subway, that's basically what they told us. They had this program internally in their organization, and they decided that they wanted to raise funds, and the funds that were raised by the employees would be matched by the organization. And they searched around, and in the region, they found that in the Philippines, poverty was quite high, and that's why they chose the Philippines to be their place of extending this social service. So when we met them, they just told us, because we asked them, how did you find out about our foundation? Because we don't usually advertise. We haven't really done that because we're waiting for our PCNC certification, and we've only been reaching out to people in our network, but we don't know anyone from Subway. And their answer was because they found our website, and they found that it seemed to be legitimate enough, and that's how they chose our foundation. So this is a big testament to what we have been doing also. So what we ended up doing was the money that they gave, we bought food and food items and packed it in containers, and then we chose beneficiaries, usually children. We try to address education by hoping to address the stunting. So the first 1,000 days of a child is very important, because if they are malnourished, then they develop brain damage, and no matter what we do, it will be very difficult for them to be productive as they grow up. So that's also one of our one of the criteria that we normally consider when we choose to work with beneficiaries. Of course, if we have excess, then we give out whatever we can. Families are also very important. So with this effort, we also chose parishes. We normally work with parishes because one of the considerations that we have with the food organizations is that it cannot be resold. So we have to be very careful about that. So as soon as we donate, it has to be consumed. And given that it's perishable, so it has to be immediate. So as soon as we receive it that day, it's also distributed on the same day. I'd like to share maybe 2 more videos. So I'll share with you our annual report of 2023, so that at least it gives you an idea of what's been done last year and where we're heading towards before we close this off. And incidentally, we actually have a media page in our website where we publish all of our annual reports from 2017 all the way to 2023. So please feel free to visit our website and watch the videos so that you'll see the journey from when we started up to today.
"2023 marks the return of normalcy after the tumultuous 3 years of the pandemic. As the Philippines eases back into everyday life amidst the eventful world, the Philippine Food Bank Foundation Inc. continues its crusade to provide soon-to-expire but still edible and delicious goods to provide to less fortunate Filipino brothers and sisters. That said, let's take a look at what exactly happened in 2023 for Food Bank. There were several significant events that occurred in 2023, either as a continuation or new beginnings. Food Bank was able to open connections in areas besides Metro Manila. Through the use of partner entities, Food Bank was able to distribute goods in Cebu, Cagayan de Oro, and Davao. This opens a new avenue for our partners, Starbucks, together with Grab, to distribute to these locations. We also continued our efforts with Starbucks and their Food Share program, with continued support and other charitable activations. Our other partners also increased their donations variety, with Century Pacific giving goods like canned tuna, squid, tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, and all-purpose cream. Avicii, with its frozen mango and strawberry trimmings in tons, and cake trimmings in different varieties. Mary Grace with their egg yolks, egg whites, prawn heads, mussels, and sugar. Jollibee with their chicken guisado, chicken a la king, and frozen chicken. The Max's group of companies also donated equipment with chairs and a chiller for the Food Bank to use. Food Bank can now accept donations not only through GCash, but also from abroad, namely the US, through means of cash, checks, and credit cards. Additionally, Food Bank had an economic meeting with donors and potential donors last year on November 13, 2022. It was thanks to the generous companies that we were able to help as many people as we can. In terms of figures, let's take a look at the amounts given by our companies in 2023. In total, we have received an estimated value of 61,055,680 pesos from these companies combined. These companies have given so much to us with the hopes that their goods will delight and nourish our beneficiaries. And who are these beneficiaries? We have been targeting malnourished and undernourished Filipinos belonging to the 21% of Filipino families that fall below the poverty line in urban districts, or households in rural areas, orphanages, children in public schools, and feeding clinics all over. These beneficiaries include Sacred Heart Parish, Mary, Mother of God Parish, San Roque Parish, Santo Cristo Parish, Shrine of Five Winds, St. Jerome Emiliani Parish, Anihan Technical School, Canossian Seminary, Sisters of the Little Mission for the Deaf, Congregation of the Sisters of St. John the Baptist, Oblates of St. Francis Xavier, Santo Niño del Violado Parish, Our Lady of Divine Providence Home, Sisters of Mary Immaculate Congregation, and many more. Now, what is next for Food Bank? Firstly, we would like to continue expanding locations for Food Bank in provincial areas, increasing partnered entities who can help organize and distribute goods to the less fortunate. We would like to increase and attract more donors not only in Metro Manila, but also in Cebu, Davao, Cagayan de Oro, and North Luzon. This would help us reach more people and help combat food wastage. We would also like to attract new companies and convince them to use the same collection methods as Starbucks through Grab. Starbucks has proved this method is effective in acquiring donations in a timely manner. And lastly, we would like to acquire more donations through new channels. As we begin 2024 with hope and optimism that the worst of the pandemic is behind us, Food Bank can continue to advocate for food for all, the less fortunate and hungry. It is as Pope Francis said, help one another. This is what Jesus teaches us. This is what I do, and I do it with my heart. We continue to uphold that belief and help as many people as we can as we march towards 2024 with gentle hope for a brighter, more bountiful future.
Okay, the last thing that I wanted to share is so our call to action really is to engage other stakeholders to support our initiative. So we're just here to grow the network of more food donors, more beneficiaries, and growing our operations, expanding nationwide. So we've been busy trying to raise funds. There are other people who were kind enough to actually host golf tournaments, and invite and encourage individuals and organizations to donate. So we just recently had our first golf invitational last July, headed by Mr. Jerry Tew at the Midlands. So we were successful enough to raise more than 3 million pesos. So that really helps a lot in terms of operations. And a few other initiatives that we have, like sometimes we receive raw materials that can still be used to prepare food, but food sometimes that we receive already become waste. So that's another opportunity for us to figure out, like, what can we do instead of throwing the food waste into landfill. Ideally, we can still do what we can to process that into compost. And if it can no longer be used for compost, then figure out a way to convert that into energy. So that's one way to address that. We've been wanting to transform the foundation into a social enterprise so that we are more sustainable. So we have been considering setting up like community kitchens, cloud kitchens, offering that to brands. But there was a recent partnership that we established together with the Loaves and Fish Foundation, headed by the former ambassador Joe Yap. So he used to be the ambassador to Singapore. I was lucky enough also to meet him because he's a brother-in-law of a relative. And when we met, his foundation is actually perfect because they already have a community kitchen and they operate in Alabang. So what we end up doing is the raw materials that we receive from donors, we just donate it to them so that they can prepare the food, and then they donate it to beneficiaries in bulk. In fact, there are beneficiaries that we overlap. So we just said, okay, since we overlap, we'll just give you the raw materials, and you cook it, and then give it to the beneficiaries. That's how we can collaborate. That also opens up opportunities for us to now reach out to other establishments like hotels, where they have a lot of surplus food, especially with their buffets that just go to waste. So that can now be brought in and cooked or recooked, clean and safe, and then send it back. There's this one challenge that I know that we also encounter. It's the pagpag, what they call it. So that's another issue that we may potentially address by at the very least offering them something cleaner and better. Figure out the way. And lastly, carbon credit. So we were figuring, one other way that we can potentially sustain ourselves is, food rescue is some form of carbon credit, given that you're avoiding, it's carbon avoidance, because you're avoiding for the food waste to be converted into methane. So we're now aggressively reaching out and hopefully offering the DNR through the school, the UANP, and their department, their Center for Social Responsibility, okay, headed by Dr. Colin Kubo. So he's one of the foremost experts in sustainability and ESGs here in the Philippines. So the offer there to collaborate with the DNR is to provide, I guess, guidance and economic policy to help implement carbon credits here in the Philippines. So hopefully that could also be another way to not only sustain the operations of the foundation, but also potentially help the Philippines reach net zero by 2050, and given that we're part of the Paris Agreement. That's it. I hope that was helpful.
I'm giving my contact information again here. I apologize for going over my time limit.
All right, so thank you so much for your presentation, Itong. Truly, you've achieved so much since 2017 together with your fellow directors. It's really wonderful. I'll say hello to Bernie. I come across him every now and then because we also run in the same circles. So I'll say hello to Bernie. I'll say, hey Bernie, how'd you find Itong?
I found him.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, but yeah, so if you are joining us here this morning, please stay on because we're going to go into our informal session. But if you are joining us 2 weeks later through our social media uploads online, I'm sorry, this is the extent of what you can get for free. So for now, announcements, because there's a couple of exciting things happening because AgriLink, the Philippines' largest agricultural trade expo is coming out. It's going to be from October 3 to 5, if I am not mistaken. My dates. Yes, that's October 3 to 5. That's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 2 weeks from now. Now, I have some very special announcements. Our next session is going to be an in-person session at AgriLink itself. FRLD and the World Trade Center Business Club has very, very graciously allowed us to host our next session in AgriLink itself. So for everyone who's interested in joining, and please do invite our other members and people, friends that you'd like to introduce to the foundation. Our next session is actually going to be on Friday. Okay, so just to repeat, that will be Friday, October 4th. It will be AgriLink Day 2. It will be held on the second floor of the World Trade Center, Metro Manila in Pasay City, in the Hoya room from 10:30 to 12:30. So I'm just going to repeat again. Our next session is going to be in person, a physical face-to-face event. Through the generosity of FRLV, the organizers of AgriLink and the World Trade Center Business Club, it will be held on October 4th. Okay, that's a Friday from 10:30 to 12:30 at the Hoya room on the second floor of the World Trade Center. Our speaker will be Dan Texon, CEO and Chief Executive Mermaid, as she calls herself, of Sinaya Seafood. We've been getting quality speakers on aquaculture recently. So they are a small social enterprise, agribusiness and social enterprise, who have adopted local fishing communities in Mindoro and in Panay. And they'd like to use the platform of the foundation to talk about this and hopefully entice people to help them out, help these fishing communities, which, as Itong has so very eloquently showed us, are usually some of the people who suffer the worst malnutrition here in the Philippines, which is ironic considering that fish, especially fresh fish, is usually, one of the cheapest sources of protein out there. We wanted to do this in person because Dan really wants all of us to taste their products. They have some very, very interesting products. I was able to join one of their product launches where they created some very interesting things apart from dried fish. They have also something that we call their trail mix, which is called D-Lee's shoes, which is D-Lee's and shoes put together for energy if you're going hiking. And then quite interestingly, they've actually created a salted fish danggit chocolate, which I think would be very interesting for all of our members to try. So I hope we can see you in person on October 4th in AgriLink. Related to that, we also, because of this, have VIP passes for AgriLink. So we are going to ask people who are interested in joining AgriLink. The VIP passes are good for all 3 days. So if you are interested in joining AgriLink and want to skip the line because AgriLink is completely free and the lines are horrendous for registration, do let us know if you'd like to get access to one of our VIP passes. We have 15 currently. We're going to try and see if we can get more. But if you'd like to skip the line and you'd like to get VIP entry to AgriLink 2024, do let us know because we do have some passes. Okay, so with that, thank you very much, everyone, who is joining us online 2 weeks later. Unfortunately, as I've done this week's free. If you're joining us here today as a member or as a donor, thank you very much. Stay on for the session. But the Agri-Link and the Agri-Business and Countryside Development Foundation is in partnership with the Management Association of Philippines. And if today's session has brought you any value at all, if you're interested in learning more about Itong and the Philippine Food Bank Foundation, if like Subway, you never heard of them before and this is your first time hearing about them and you'd like to do something about it, well, we're very happy to connect you with Itong. Send us a message, leave a comment, send us an email, let us know and we'd be very happy. If what we do brings you any value and you'd like to contribute to us, consider joining us. Again, it is only through your generosity support here in the Philippines for Agri-Business. Send us an email, introduce yourself. So with that, thank you for joining us. For those of you who are here today, I'll see you in the informal session shortly. But for the rest of you, thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, if you are in another country, you might not be able to come visit us in Agri-Link, but we'll see you in our next session. Have a good day and see you next time.